you an idea of the purpose of why we do these, firstly, it's great for sort of prospective customers to watch these and see what you thought of us, thought of the service. But actually, probably even more importantly, the team watch these interviews. And so it's a great opportunity for them to see, what you felt about the service, what you liked, and so on. Because, we're obviously online based, we're not face to face. And so it is really valuable, makes everyone feel good and makes it feel real, what we do, which can sometimes be lost when it's just emails and phone calls and texts.
Yeah.
But so I really appreciate you doing this. To kick things off, thinking back to when you were considering using us, why did you use us? How did you come across us? Why us and not someone else?
Originally, I was selling my house, and I think I got one of the letters through the post that essentially said, like cash buying, I think, essentially. The three options, these are the three options. And at the time, I was most interested in the cash buying option. When that wasn't necessarily an option, it just seemed, well, the estate agents I was using were quite slow and were just not very good. And so I just thought, you know what, why not? We'll give it a try. Rob and that seemed fairly confident they could sell it reasonably quickly. So I thought, well, why not give it a try? That's kind of where it was at. But yeah, it was from that kind of initial letter, and that's where it all started, really.
Lovely. And I guess, did you have any reservations? Because obviously being online based, it's always a bit more of a leap than just using someone that's local.
Yes and no. So I think a lot of, especially for myself, if I'm looking at houses, I tend to look online, Rightmove, etc., etc. So in terms of the online side of it, I wasn't overly bothered about the online side of it, because I think the majority of people nowadays use technology to find houses rather than seeing billboards and that kind of thing anyway. So I wasn't overly concerned about using an online estate agent rather than another estate agent in my local area that's maybe more prominent. That didn't bother me.
And I guess when you kind of were onboarded and you were using the service, what did you like about it? What went well? Anyone you felt did a particularly good job?
Yeah. So what do I like about it? It's efficient. So one of the things I've noticed with a lot of other estate agents, especially when I was viewing houses, was the kind of inefficiency of trying to book visits to see houses. I've turned up to houses where the house is already sold and the estate agent hasn't let me know, or hasn't let the seller know that I was, just hasn't cancelled viewings essentially. So one of the better things, I think, was the efficiency of the service essentially. So Rob was great. Rob stayed in touch on a regular basis, kept us updated of things. But then also, I think it was mostly ladies who I spoke to who booked in the visits. When I spoke to the ladies booking in visits, they were really on the ball. They were really concise. They, I don't know what it was. I mean, obviously, I don't know what it was like bringing up British Homebuyers, but in terms of my experience from my side, it was very sharp, very quick. People, the ladies who rang me would book people in really quickly. They'd get back to me really quickly. They'd chase things up after the viewings to just give us feedback on how the viewings had gone. So they were even when they couldn't get a hold of people, they were very, very on the ball, which is what you want from an estate agent. Essentially, you want to feel like people are actually interested in trying to sell your house. And like I say, my experience of when I've been buying houses, even this time around when I was buying houses, ringing estate agents to try and get a viewing and not being able to get through to the local branch because there was no one answering the telephone. So it goes through to their main switchboard, which I'd then left a message, and then someone from the branch has to call me back. I never really had that experience. So I never got the impression that anybody who booked visits to see my house had that experience. So that was a lot better.
Excellent. Fantastic. And I guess if someone's watching this and they're sort of on the fence as to whether to consider using us or not, what advice would you give them that might help?
I mean, I would definitely say to at least try it. If you're selling a house, most people are going to view it online. For the level of service that I received from yourselves compared to So, like I said, my local estate agents, it was far better. Like I say, it was more prompt, it was quicker, it was more reactive. If I needed to get hold of Rob, I could always get hold of Rob to check something out. If I needed to ring the offices, that was very easy. So, to be honest, I would just suggest to anyone that was thinking about using yourselves versus their local estate agents was try and ring your local estate agents and see how quickly they respond to you if you were looking at houses yourself. Because realistically, that side of the service of other estate agents I found to be really poor. So if you imagine you're selling your house with that person and you've got 10 people trying to ring up and they can't even get a viewing for your house, that's not great. Whereas yourselves, you try ringing up yourselves and it's very quick. So I would just say try that. If in doubt, test out the people you're going to use for selling houses. But yeah, I was very impressed. I would do it again.
That's such a good idea, though, in terms of if you're trying to pick a company, actually just try and contacting them as a buyer and see how quick they get back to you. I've not heard that as an idea, but
it very
actually makes a lot of sense.
Estate agents in my area, so I think it might have been Kath Wells or somebody else. The local estate agents, when I was ringing them to try and book, because obviously once I'd sold mine, or when I was looking at selling mine, I was looking to book in viewings for other estate agents. The amount of times I would ring William H. Brown or Kath Wells or kind of lots of the big high street estate agents, I would ring them and I'd be ringing and it'd never get answered, or there was no one in the branch to answer the phone call because they were out showing houses, which I understand. But again, when you're trying to book viewings for houses, when people are trying to book viewings for your house you're selling, you want someone to be there to be answering the phone call. Typical estate agents have got people answering the phone calls and going out and doing viewings and it's a nightmare. So that really, at least two of the estate agents I used that I went to view houses for to purchase, I would never use myself because they were so hard to get hold of. And if I was trying to sell a house, I want people to be able to get hold of my estate agent to make bookings. And also, one of the estate agents was supposed to show me on a weekend and just didn't turn up. So it's just that reliability of services. I always found Rob and the ladies I spoke to really reliable, really prompt, and ultimately that's what you want when you're trying to sell something. You want people who are prompt, efficient, who are on the ball, really.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's you completely agree in terms of with a local agent, you end up having a jack of all trades dealing with each thing. Whereas we deliberately set up so there's an assembly line of expertise for each different thing. So, Rob's never going to disappear off to do a viewing. He's always there to be on hand. Same with the viewings team and so on. I mean, are there any other aspects of the service you particularly like that you've not mentioned, or any shout outs to the team that you've not mentioned? Any kind of closing remarks, I guess?
I can't remember the ladies I spoke to in the back office stuff who did like the viewing stuff, but they were exceptional. The ladies I spoke to, they were always really on the ball. Like I say, when towards the end when we reduced the price a bit, where we were getting more viewings quite quickly, they were very efficient, very quick. So they were great. Rob was brilliant throughout. Even once we'd sold the house and kind of things were progressing through, it was good. I mean, the photos were great that we had took. That was another good part of the service. So originally, I had two estate agents come and view my property to market it. So I marketed it with one of them. I can't remember which one now. Or I was going to market them, and their pictures were terrible. They were really, really poor. So in the end, I didn't go. They came and done the pictures, and I said, "Oh, no, don't bother." I went with the other one for a little while until it was unsuccessful, and then I went with yourselves, and the pictures were very good quality. Like the 3D layout of the house was really good. So that kind of, not just the personal being able to get hold of people side of it, the kind of just the technology side of it and the marketing side of things was very good as well. But like I said, Rob was great throughout. He was very helpful in terms of marketing at the price we wanted, but then also not kind of being too forceful in reducing it, but being there to discuss reducing it if I wanted to make it sell quicker, and all sorts of options and all the statistics on how many people had viewed the property. He could tell me, and how that was in line with different the averages and things. So yeah, Rob was great, and like I said, all the ladies who did the bookings for the viewings were brilliant as well.
Amazing. No, thank you so much. I think the team are going to really enjoy watching this because it's, like I said at the beginning, it's good for them to get this sort of face-to-face feedback, essentially.
Mm.
I mean, is there anything, if you were kind of starting the whole process from scratch again, putting your house on the market with that first agent, for example, is there any advice you would give yourself now, if you could go back in time and share it?
Well, with the experience I've got now, I'd probably just have viewed yourself from the outset, really. Or I would have tested it, like I said before, in terms of calling them and testing. I would probably have just rang the local estate agents I was thinking of using and seeing how easy it was to get hold of, because that was the most important thing, was actually getting people through the door to see the property, to sell the property. So, power of hindsight, I would just go back and I would just use yourself, because then I would have had probably another 6 months extra to try and sell it. So I probably would have sold it for a bit more than I did.
Yeah, exactly. No, amazing. No, thank you so much. It's hugely appreciated.